Butcher Babies, and you're listening and watching Linea Rock.
Welcome to Linea Rock program. For the first time here in Italy, all the band of Butcher Babies. Hi girls, hi guys.
Hi. Woo.
Okay, this evening is you will play your first show here in Italy at the Rock and Roll Arena in close to Novara town in Romagnano Sesia. Your show are announced aggressive like your music. What your fans should expect from Butcher Baby show?
Raw energy, lots and lots of raw energy up on stage tonight.
We love to call it controlled chaos. So it's a little chaotic, but you know, for us, we're up there having a party, and we want the whole crowd to be involved in our party. You know, there's a lot of jumping up and down and moshing and circle pits, and everyone just has a really good time. It's a great place to go and release. And so for us, we provide that, but we also get it ourselves.
We're having a lot of coffee today, so we'll be well prepared for
We're
the show.
amped up.
Yeah.
Okay. We could speak about the band. How was born, and when have you decided it was time to create Butcher Babies team?
Well, Heidi and I met in a punk rock cover band that we were in together, and we loved playing music together, but we were tired of doing cover songs, and we both wanted to create a project that was a little bit heavier. You know, we both grew up in the mosh pit, we both love heavy metal, so we decided to form Butcher Babies, and we were friends with these guys from around Hollywood, so it was a really easy process to start the Butcher Babies.
At the second we all stood in a room together, it was basically magic. You know, everyone touched their instruments, and and it was magic from then on. You know, it's something that is really special about this is that, you know, we all share the exact same vision, and you know, we're a bunch of friends up there playing music together. So you really see that on stage, that we're just friends having a good time, and I think that's exciting for us.
We were literally a garage band when we started, so it was just we're just having fun. There was no agenda, just having fun.
Okay. The sound is full of energy, explosive, very aggressive. What are your influences? I think you have a different musical background. You talk about punk rock music. Probably the other members have different influences.
We all have different influences. We should just go around and
Yeah, everything from Pantera to Fugazi for me is a big influence.
Classical heavy metal music,
Yeah.
right?
Mm-hmm.
for me, Pantera, Slayer, Guns N' Roses, X.
I'm a new metal kid. I grew up with Slipknot, Korn, Limp Bizkit, around that era.
Yeah, everything she kind of said as well, and then also Sepultura for me. A lot of hardcore bands growing up, like Poison the Well.
Yeah, Sepultura, I agree. That was the one me and him agree on when I first met him. But a lot of death metal, like Cannibal Corpse.
2 days ago, I had a phone call with Andreas Kisser for De La Tierra
Nice.
new project.
Nice.
Yes,
Yeah,
very,
that's awesome.
very great. Okay, you are both singer, right? Your vocals are often aggressive, sometimes melodic. When you write a song, how do you decide who has to sing one part or another part? Is a natural process or not?
It's pretty natural because we both like different kinds of metal. So the songs speak very clearly as to who should sing which parts. You know, I like the more fill ensemble type, you know, deeper, growlier type vocals, and she prefers the higher screams, like say Maria Brink type screams. So we put them both together, and we never fight over who gets what part because we both love them all.
Yeah, and you know, one thing with the melodics that we really love, you know, we love harmonizing with each other, and in a band with one singer you don't get to do that, and so it's really nice that, you know, we can actually harmonize on stage, our screams and our singing. So, you know, we both excel at different, or at screaming and singing, so it's really easy.
Goliath is the title of your first album, and it has been released with an important deal like Century Media. How had you reached this important company deal and contract with them?
Well, Century Media has been coming to our shows since almost the inception of the band. You know, probably starting in 2010, they started coming to shows just around Hollywood. Hollywood's very tiny. The music scene is very tiny there. So, you know, when someone is doing something different, people go and they watch. And, you know, they were with us from pretty much the beginning, and they watched us grow, and they encouraged us in many different ways. And so when it came time to ink a deal with somebody, it just made perfect sense. Like the union between Century Media and Butcher Babies, it was a no-brainer.
By the time we signed the deal, it was just like seeing old friends. So it was very, very comfortable for us.
Okay. Goliath is the title of your first album. Can it be considered like a concept, and in this case, what it base?
Well, Goliath it represents a villain in all of our lives. We all grew up very differently and had different trials as children and as young adults. And the Goliath represents, say a bully or bad parents or bad coworkers or bad bosses. And in our lives, we all have the opportunity to become just like those villains, just like the Goliath, just like the bully, or you can change and learn from that and become a better person because of the way you were treated. And that's something that we all had to face at different times in our lives. And we all overcame certain experiences in our lives, and I think we turn a bunch of negatives into positives with our music. And that's one thing we really wanted to get across with Goliath is facing that Goliath and conquering it. And you can hear it in the album in different songs. It's about our growth as people and about our growth as a band. And it's pretty apparent when you hear the lyrics.
And there is also particular messages that you want to give in the lyric of your songs.
Well, it's just about overcoming trials and adversity and coming into your own and really growing as a person from the negative things or even the positive things that happen in your life. It's not necessarily a concept, but I think each song kind of gears towards aspects of that.
There's a famous quote that says, "When fighting monsters, be careful you don't become a monster yourself." And that kind of encompasses everything as well.
Your songs are born with the teamwork.
Yes, definitely.
And before start recording, the idea start from the music, a riff of guitar, and after write the lyric.
It's both. It can be either. It could be a lyric. It can be a melody, a riff, a drum beat. Like there's been a few ideas where it's just been Chris will come up with a particular beat and we'll ride over the top of that. So there really is no formula to what we do.
Mr. Slow Death came from just a drum beat he had always wanted to do, and then we dissected it and put it back together. And so it's so easy for us to write because we all sit down and we all feel very comfortable with each other, and everyone has a voice. For instance, if Carla or I think that the drums should sound this way, or they think that the vocals should sound this way, we're very open to that. And I feel like that's a little bit rare in a band where we all sit together and we all can kind of
give each other constructive criticism.
Yeah.
Yep.
Yeah.
Okay. Personal, looking at the cover of the album, it's like being in a movie thriller with something can happen in any moment.
Right.
Who had the idea to create this cover?
We all did.
I think it was just something we all came up with together. One thing we wanted it to represent is that child in that moment of deciding whether or not he was going to become just like that Goliath. And that the kid on the front kind of represents all of us facing the problems in our lives, just looking straight at it and deciding to overcome them.
When we first saw that photo, we got chills. We're like, oh man, it's creepy when you see it because there's really nothing violent or anything wrong with that cover, but you see it and it gives you the creeps.
It was the only photo out of the whole shoot that we thought, that's the cover.
Yeah.
That's the cover.
Right.
We knew right away.
I mean, he could be bringing his parents pancakes. Who
Exactly.
knows?
He's making them breakfast.
He's waking them up for church.
Yeah.
We can talk about the production of the album. Has been handled by Joss Wilbur, known for his work with Lamb of God, Gohiria, with Haybreed. So a powerful sound, right? In your opinion, how much important has been his job in this recording? And he has some way improved your songs.
He's our sixth member.
Finding a producer is just as important as finding another member of your band, because they come in and they have say in what the songs sound like, what the arrangement should be, everything. And the first second that we met Josh, his energy was just like ours. Just really excited, fun, and is loving life. He's young and ambitious, and just like us, he wanted to create something different, and he saw our vision and what we wanted, and it was a perfect fit.
We felt so comfortable with him. When you're recording, you really have to bare your soul, and you cannot be shy. You can't get embarrassed, and around him, you feel so at ease. He really encourages you, and he makes you feel like you can do anything in the studio. So it totally adds to the creative process.
Yeah, he was not afraid to challenge us in any way. Like, he really put us to the test. And he would speak his mind no matter what. Like, if he thought something should be a certain way, he would fight for it, and just like we do. So
a lot of our songs are very emotional, and they touch a lot of things that we've been through in our lives. And there was a moment, as Carla was saying, you have to feel 100% comfortable. There was a moment during the recording of In Denial where I sat on the floor and cried for about an hour. And he just sat there. He's like, okay, you all right? Like, he was very, he was like, get up, let's, blah, 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 this is metal. There's no crying in metal. He was just like, I understand. It's a good thing that you're so emotionally attached to these songs. And he almost kind of gave us like a big brother sense, Like, he really took care of us.
Where you had recorded the album? In Los Angeles, in studios?
Yeah.
Okay. And how much time for recording hold?
A month and
It was about
2 weeks.
6 weeks.
2
That
weeks.
includes pre-production, sitting in our rehearsal studio on the floor, working on songs as well as being in the studio.
It was very intense.
Yeah, very fast.
Yes,
Yeah.
very fast. But the songs that you had write many years ago, or
Yeah.
Some of them.
Okay.
Some of them were fresh. So we wrote Run in the
Off
studio
and
the
on.
very last day, but some of them we'd had for a couple years.
One song on the album, it was written when we started out as a garage band. We were in a garage and we wrote that song, and it's on the album. And then
Yeah.
the very, very last song was done right before the deadline in the studio. They almost didn't make the album, and it's on there as well.
Yeah,
So
the Death Round almost didn't make it because of time restraints.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And it's one of our favorite songs on the album, and we love to play it live. And thank God that made it on the album. Thank God we actually wrote it.
Right. You can hear how it's very different than the earlier stuff. You can hear the progression of the band throughout the album. So
yes, you in concert you play live all the album.
most
Most of it.
Well,
Yeah.
Okay. Last year you toured together Marilyn Manson for 1 month, I think, in North America. After it was in tour with Rob Zombie for Rob Zombie Nightmare Tour, right?
Yeah.
And another big festival, Mayhem Festival. So how was that experience?
It was crazy. I mean, we've toured with all of our idols almost at this point. Bands don't get that lucky, They have to really do these really bad tours before they get any good ones. And our first tour was great. We did our first tour with OTEP. And then Manson, obviously, when we got that, we were pinching ourselves. Like, how could we get this Manson tour? And then they just kept coming. When we signed with our label and they asked us who we wanted to tour with, we said, Manson, Korn, Rob Zombie, and they said, slow down.
Think more realistic.
Be realistic.
And then the next tour we got was
And then
Manson.
the offers started coming in, and they were all good offers, But we work hard, and we bring something special to the table. We're different. We have a lot of energy. So I can see why these big bands want to take us out. We get the crowd pumped up.
I think, for us in that moment when, we're the first show with Marilyn Manson, and we're like, wow, this is really happening. We had to travel to Milwaukee from Los Angeles. It was about a 3-day drive. So the build-up of the, anxious to play this first show with Marilyn Manson, who's a huge idol of all of ours. I mean, we all love Marilyn Manson, and, the art and the creativity that he brought to music. He really opened doors for bands like us to be weird and do something different. And so when we were about to play that show, I think it hit us all that we were, what is it? Carla says we were playing with one of the last true rock stars in music, and we learned a lot.
And when we go back to the States, we're going out with Zakk Wylde, Black Label Society, and Down. So we get to tour
Phil
with
Anselmo.
even more legends.
More legends. It's
Yeah.
great.
The album had a good debut in the Billboard charts, such as sales. Did you expect this result?
No.
We didn't know
But
what
you
to
hope.
expect.
No.
I mean, you can always hope, and we put 4 years into this album, so we were, keeping our fingers crossed that people liked it, and keeping our fingers crossed that people would even want to buy it and see what we would sound like, because we had been touring for 4 years and writing this album, it was a real surreal experience to see those numbers after the first week, all the sales and everything.
We got feedback from our manager. He's like, "Hey, you want to hear what the numbers are?" And none of us wanted. We're not like, no, we don't want to hear what it's about. We
were on the Mayhem Festival, and playing all these great shows, and we were just like, I don't even want to know.
We don't want to hear the bad news.
If it's negative, we don't want to know.
No bad news.
But it was
positive.
Incredible news, and ever since then it's been very well received, and just released in stores in Europe on the 17th of February. So it's been doing really well, and we're really proud. Yeah.
Now you are in tour in Europe, and this is I think is a headliner tour. It's totally yes. And you find some different with the kids of American and the audience of European.
Well, I would say mostly it's the same, but we were talking about how there is an older generation here that's very into metal, and they're very. It seems like there's a lot of roots. You can tell that they've been to a lot of shows, and that they come to the shows, and you don't really see that a lot in the States.
They're not afraid to go and rock out with the kids, whereas a lot of adults in the United States feel like, oh, I shouldn't be doing this. But even though we do get, our target audience is we have a very wide spectrum of people, age, gender, stereotype, doesn't matter. In the States, a lot of our front row are young girls who wear our makeup and are screaming all the lyrics, and then some boys screaming the lyrics, and men and old women. It's like you never know. You never know. But one thing that I've noticed on this tour is that we all speak one universal language, and that's rocking out. That's going and moshing together, regardless of what language you speak, regardless of where you came from, anything. Everyone's there for the same purpose. And that's the great thing about metal, is that we all are there for the exact same thing. So it's beautiful. Okay.
Last question. Return to the origin of the band. The name of the band comes from a title of a song of Plasmatics, right?
Yes.
I have seen Wendy Williams and Plasmatics a show in Italy in the half of 80s.
Nice.
Yes, very many years ago. You have been influenced by her in the way of being on stage and part of the music for the beginning.
Yeah, absolutely.
She's a very inspirational woman for anyone who is a female in rock music. She did crazy things on stage, blew up cars, used chainsaws. So it wasn't even just about the music, although I love the music. It's very punk rock, and we bring a very punk rock vibe to our stage show. But she was just a fearless human being, and she was a strong believer in a lot of things like, animal rights, just a very, very good role model.
One thing that we definitely wanted to do is continue that legacy with Butcher Babies. In the old punk band that we were in together, we covered that song, and became very influenced by her. One of the first females, essentially, in metal, who didn't care what people told her to look like, didn't care what people told her to sound like. She went and did it for her because she loved it, and that's one thing that we really, really gravitated towards, because our entire lives, all of us have been told, no, don't do that. You have to look like this. You have to do that. You should be in a pop band. You should do this. You should do that. And so finally we were just like, ah!
Everybody else knows what's good for you.
So, when we created Butcher Babies, we really wanted to stick to the Wendy-O vibe.
Okay. Thank you very much.
Thank you.
See you the next time when you return for Play Live again in Italy, I hope, for many other concerts, not only this evening in Romagnano Sesia. Bye-bye. Thank you.
Thank you.